Hello YouTube! This is Toy Adventures, back again with another figure review, and today is special. We are continuing our Halo-a-thon with today's entry is going to be actually 4 reviews in one. So we have the Brute Captain, Burrowhammer, aka the Pilot, Jackle Sniper, the Mark 6. I believe that is a Mark 6 or 7. Again, like I said, horrible with Roman numerals. Anyway, this is the majority of the 3 3/4 inch first wave. Now, I do have the Marine in Chief, but there's specific reasons why they're not really going to get reviewed in depth. Is because we already covered the Marine last time, and while this one is a variant, as you can see, it's only slightly different, with no pouches on the chest and a knife instead. Other than that, they are the same figure, and it just comes with this new commander rifle, which I'm very curious about, but it doesn't really warrant a full review. Plus, I am burnt out from reviewing, and I still have more to do. And with this Chief, it is the exact same Chief you get with the Warthog, so I already reviewed it. This one has a noticeably not broken foot, so yeah. I'm pretty much just going to open him for the AR because I love to army build those basic weapons. Probably give it to this guy instead of the commando rifle. So these two don't really warrant reviews because I need to make sure this video is too long, but it will be very long because I am reviewing 4 figures. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into it. All of these have the same exact box. They just say Halo on there, hardly even Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is down there. They all have game add-ons, which I won't really be showing or covering because I don't know what they are. They're just little codes in there, so who knows what's on them. But yeah, I mean, like I said, with all of these, their backs is just the Master Chief running, so there's really no point in going over too much of the packaging. You guys know how it is by now. Very nice design, very eye-catching. Let's go ahead and rip them all apart. Okay, so here we have them all out of the box, and yes, I've included the Marine here just because I felt like it wouldn't be doing the way of justice unless I included the Marine. If you guys want to see an in-depth review of Master Chief, you guys are going to have to watch the 2-pack with the Brute Chieftain because it's the same figure. It's just, you know, it's this less damaged version. There's no black on the helmet or on the chest or on the thigh. It's a nice clean version of the same figure. So no point in really covering it again. But, I mean, it's the same deal with the Marine, but the Marine does have some physical differences from the Marine I reviewed in the 2-pack. So starting us off, we're going to take a look first at the Brute Captain over here. So here's our big old Brute. He's the second Brute in the line. I'm going to really move these guys back so I have a lot of room. So he is our second Brute in this line. The first one we had was the Chieftain, and now, while not really a, you know, cannon fodder Brute that I would have hoped for, like a Brute Minor or something, this is still nice. It really resembles what we saw in the trailer. Some people complain about this looking plasticky. I mean, when I say that, I mean in-game, not this actual figure, because obviously it's made out of plastic, but I can see where the complaints are coming from. They do look a little strange. And not really how they looked in Halo Wars 2. This one kind of with the red, but it should be black and red or red and silver or silver and red. This, as you can see, is pretty much an all red design. Doesn't look nearly as rugged or rough and spiky as banished armor should, but it looks good. I like it. It's not really banished looking, but I still like it as a Brute. Of course, the helmet is removable. There's the Craig head again. Monkey. Again, that is just held on by friction. There is nothing actually holding it on. He does have these 2 little clip-on things that go on his back. I believe these are the thrusters you saw in the trailer. They don't really stay on very well. Maybe I have them in the wrong slot. Don't think so. I mean, they just pop off really easily. So if you don't want them to have the jump packs, it's fine. I think I have them in there right now. But they come out really easily. So if you don't want them, that's totally fine. So now taking a look at his articulation. He's got the same articulation going on as the Brute Chieftain. You got a nice upward movement, downward movement. This is about as far, well, those are gonna get lost. Let's take his Mangler out of his hand. So his arms can go about down that far, they go up about this far, though as you can see it does push into the plastic a little bit. So, and look, the plastic stays in that folded look, which is kind of weird. You kind of have to reshape it with your finger. You have a nice elbow swivel right here, as well as a hinge, but of course this gauntlet right here does get in the way a little bit because it is this big old chunky gauntlet, so that's about as far as he can go. The hand is on a swivel and also a hinge. The hinge goes up and down rather than side to side, which makes sense for the left hand. Usually it's the right hand you want to have the up and down motion, or the side to side motion. Even this one, well, I guess it doesn't really, it depends on what way it's facing. I consider this up and down and this side to side. So, I mean, that's better for holding rifles because your hand's always kind of like, you know, pointed downward. So, but he has a one-handed weapon, so it doesn't really matter here. Nice ab crunch going on right here. Doesn't go on too much because of the body armor, but you do get movement, which is nice. Of course, the head is on a ball peg, forgot to mention that. The legs are on a ball peg as well. You do get a ton of motion. There's also a thigh swivel right here, so you get even more posability if you need to spread and spray the legs out. You do, of course, have the nice double jointed knees, very, very nice. And you do have movement in the foot, though limited, maybe not. So you get a bunch of movement in the foot. It's just kind of stiff because it's new, but it does rotate nicely. Taking a look at his paint work, let me get him all nice to the camera. You can totally see all the scratches. I mean, they tried to make this look as realistic as they could, but I just think this color does not lend well to be Brute armor. It just looks too clean. Maybe elite armor, but not really Brute, or especially not banished. This looks more, if anything, like a Brute. It'd be like a Covenant Brute. So it's a little confusing, it's a little strange, but I can dig it. I think it looks cool. If this is the new direction they're taking the banished in, so be it. Better to just accept it, because I doubt they can change all that already at this far into development. So it's not bad, it's just not what we got used to in Halo Wars 2. This is his little weapon, the Mangler. This is being promoted a lot too. They're having a Nerf version coming out, you see in the trailer. It looks like a shotgun pistol, or just like a slug shooter or something. It looks very brutish, especially with this blade on the bottom, so I think it fits in their arsenal. A nice new weapon, although I haven't seen any sign of the spiker, and I hope the spiker doesn't go away, because that really is a good iconic Brute weapon, along with the Brute shot. So that is pretty much it for the Brute. Let's get on to the pilot. So here we have the pilot from the trailer, Brohammer, and he comes with the Bulldog shotgun. I don't think he's going to be doing very many combat roles, and his articulation is actually a little subpar, mainly due to his body right here with this large vest, but it cannot achieve the same thing as the rest of the line can. His head is also a little poorly done. I'm trying to get that to focus. As you can see, the paint work on there is pretty uneven. You can see the sculpted beard in there right there, but it's not painted in. But it is overpainted on this side, so it creates a really uneven look going on. Looks pretty bad. Looks like he shaved one side and didn't do the other side. So I might need to get another pilot, because this one is so poorly painted. Even the mouth is a little weird. But going down to the body, it seems pretty fine. You can see his vest. This is apparently a pellet. This is the new Pelican pilot outfit, and I really dig it. It looks a lot like real-world military pilots. Especially with this little neck thing going on. I don't expect me to know any of the terminology. He's got plenty of pouches down here, a nice little UNSC logo going on right there on his shoulder, and just a lot of paint detail going on throughout him. All these pouches and leg pouches and pockets and all this stuff. He looks like a real pilot, technician, whatever he may be. the thing says pilot, so I'm inclined to believe that that's what his role was. So, we don't know his actual name. People just call him Brohammer or Pilot. So, yeah. Nice paint detailing going on. Of course, he has a peg in the back for his weapon in case he wants to store on the back. Although I don't think he's going to be carrying a weapon. And if anything, I think he probably should have came with a Magnum. I don't know. Maybe there's some significance with him and the Bulldog in the game. Of course, I haven't played it. It hasn't come out yet. So I'm probably just going to give this to another character. Maybe the Mark 6 since it came with a Covenant weapon. And I usually like to pose my Spartans with human weapons. So, going on to his articulation. He has a hinge right here at the shoulder, although it doesn't go out or nearly in as much. As you can see, it is stopped right there by the vest. Goes out that far, down that far. He's got a nice movement around here at the elbow. Of course, the swivel and the hinge, same as the shoulder. Although, as you can see, the way it's molded, that's about as far as he can go inward, which is pretty bad if you want him to hold weapons. So, he's not good at holding weapons at all. But I don't think this character is going to, like I said, I don't think this character is going to be very combative. I think he's going to be more of a supporting role. So I think it's excusable at best to have his articulation be so subpar compared to the rest of the humans. Going on down here to his wrist, there is a hinge and a rotation as well. So you have plenty, and this is what I mean by the side to side. When I point like this, it's up and down, but you know, normally it's side to side. This is great for holding rifles. But of course, like I said, he can't really hold weapons, so it kind of falls short on him. Same thing on the other arm. Waist, you do get something limited, but you do get something. It's not really 360. That's about as far as he can turn that way. It's about as far as he can turn that way. Picking him off his base because he can hardly stand on his own. You do get a nice ball point right here in the leg. Ball joint, I mean. Goes up about that far, and go back about that far, goes out about that far. So again, not as good as even Chief, who's wearing a full suit of body armor. He does have the double jointed knees, so that is good. And he does have the very articulated feet, which is nice. And what I like about this one is it's not nearly as loose as the first Marine I had. I don't know if you guys remember that in that review. This Marine's legs are incredibly loose, so trying to get him to stand is kind of challenging. I was really hoping he'd fall and not stand up so I wouldn't look stupid. Yeah, you see, he can just barely stand on his own, but he is a little wobbly. This one doesn't have that issue. The feet are pretty solid. So that's pretty much it for the Brohammer figure. Solid. Hopefully, I can't imagine they would come out with a Pelican in this size, but if they do, that would be amazing, and he'd have something to drive. But I doubt they will, so he'll just be by Chief's side, maybe in a Warthog or something, but not really holding weapons because he can hardly do that unless it's like a pistol or something. So here we have the infamous Jackle sniper. Hopefully these guys won't be as horrible as they were in Halo 2. This one comes with a stalker rifle, which is actually a new weapon. We haven't seen that in any other Halo games. So I'm interested in seeing how it performs. As for the Jackal itself, it is extremely well detailed, very well painted. It just looks very nice. You have the nice little heads-up display or little optic he's got going on up here that the Jackal snipers have. Taking a look around him. Obviously he doesn't come with a shield or plasma pistol because he's not a Jackal miner, he is a Jackal sniper. But he does have all the little quills and frills going on around him. He looks very monstrous and gnarly. And he even has some jaw articulation, which is pretty cool if you want to have him doing their little squeal. So, taking a look at his articulation, he has got a hinge right here up at the base of the neck that also rotates, but he also has a joint right here at the base of the where the head connects to the neck, but it is extremely stiff on mine. And so I really don't want to keep, twisting it because I broke Master Chief's foot in the Warthog review, so I need to be careful with him now, apparently. The jaw is articulated, like I said, which is very cool, unexpected, and very nice. Arms can go about that far, but again, these shoulder pads are expectedly unsurprisingly, I mean, hindering the articulation going on over there, but they do have a full 360 rotation. Going down here at the shoulder, it's the same deal. A nice hinge. It goes out about that far, can go in about that far, and can rotate 360 degrees. Same with the hand. All these joints are pretty much the same, or they are hinges with full rotation. So you do get a ton of movement in the arms, and certainly enough to hold the weapon. Going down here at the abs, you get a nice ab crunch going on here, but it is a little limited. Like the rest of the figures, they are there, but they're not fully usable. Getting him off his base, and good luck trying to get him to stand without this base. This base is the only way you're getting this dude to stand, unless you sit there and just fiddle with it forever. You got ball peg legs, pretty standard for this line, so you get about that much of side kick. You can kick up about that far, kick back about that far, and when you try and move it back, it slides out because of the little butt plate going on down here. He's got double jointed knees, but it's actually built in the style of their little chicken legs. So there's one joint here, one joint here, which is expected for these guys. So the double jointed knees is not really that impressive because they need it, these and the elites. The feet are on a hinge, but they are extremely stiff. Yeah, that's cringe to watch. I don't even want to try that. So be careful with these. They do get foot movement, but I'm assuming not too much because it can probably only go about that far out because of the foot, and it can go back. It can obviously rotate. So that is the articulation for him. This is his stalker rifle. Looks really interesting, really cool. I like this. Kind of looks like what is it? It's the laser weapon from Reach. I cannot think of the name of it for the life of me, but I'm sure those of you that played Reach know what I'm talking about. You can easily just fit it right there in his hand and get a nice sniping pose. And that's right out the box. No articulation modification needed. That is straight out of the box, perfect aiming position. So this one is a very nice figure and a total home run. Kind of makes me optimistic for how their elites are going to be. Because I have one elite, but that review is coming tomorrow, and he doesn't really come with weapons. He's not a standard elite. You guys will see. So moving on to the Mark 6. Here we have the white Mark 6. Now this Spartan has a ton of inspiration coming from Reach. Most of the Spartans that I've seen from these toy lines have a ton of inspiration from Reach. They look like their default Reach armor, but they're apparently Mark 7s. So this one's very cool. It has a nice white and black aesthetic going on around it. But it does kind of come off as boring at some points because it is just two colors and they are two contrast colors. So it does look a little plasticky. His articulation is the same as Chief's, so you get a ton of movement. The arm goes out about that far, goes in about that far. You can obviously modify it by cutting it in here and it will be just as articulated as the Chief. So you have a nice elbow rotation and hinge. Goes out about that far, goes in about that far. The wrist is also on the perfect little side-to-side articulation, perfect for, again, holding rifles. It goes in about that far, goes out about that far, rotates 360. Abs is, of course, rotatable, and you can pull it apart. The head is just on the ball joint, so you get a ton of movement, fully free movement in the head. Going down to the thighs, they are ball pegs, and might not be able to tell because they're all black, but the part that it connects to the body and the leg armor right here are two separate bits. So you can rotate it like this, which is very nice. Of course, double jointed knees and full movement in the leg. Goes up about that far, goes down about that far, and full rotation. So, taking a look at his weapon, this is the pulse carbine, I believe. Let me check. Yes, this is the pulse carbine. I'm not sure what this is going to be or what kind of weapon it's going to be, but it is a new one. So I am excited for that nonetheless. He can hold it just fine. Just kind of gotta get it in his hand because it is kind of a meaty trigger, meaty handle right there, as you can see. So it is a little tough to get. Oh, my camera does not want to focus anymore. As you can see, it is pretty thick, but he holds it fine. Although if you want him to hold it absolutely perfect, you do got to do the little cut in his arm. But once you get that cut done, you get great aiming. So that's how well he holds his weapon. Very cool armor. I'm looking forward to see what else they have in the Spartan department. These actually are pretty cool since they're so articulated, but I don't think I'm going to be buying too many of these guys, the Spartans I mean, because I'm more of a military guy. So I can't wait for the ODSTs and the basic troops to come out. Those are the ones I like to army build. I like to think of Spartans as special, so I don't have them as much on the battlefield. But the Marines and the ODSTs, I'll have a ton of those. So I can't wait to see more of those come out. And also basic Covenant troops, your Grunts, your Jackals, your Brutes, your Elites. So I'm very excited to see those. And finally, let's take a look at just the differences between the Marines. Alright, so here we have the two Marines side by side. And what I love what Jazwares did is they didn't take the easy route like a certain company we know, Mattel. And they actually changed up the figure instead of just repackaging the same figure a billion times. Here the two Marines do have differences. As you can see, this is the Marine from the Grunt 2-pack. It came with a battle rifle, has these two pouches right here. This Marine has no pouches, but a knife right there on the right side of him. Also, this Marine has extra pouches going on right here, a pistol mags and some kind of pouch that is absent on this figure. Oops, I didn't mean to poke him. And that I think is, oh no, even the helmet. You can tell this one has a strap going down the bottom of his helmet, while this one has more of a full face mask. So there is actually quite a few differences that I didn't even notice at first going on with these Marines. And also down here at the legs, there is no leg armor. So these are two different figures for the most part, just different parts, but they have the same articulation, the same paint, just different legs, you know, different bits and pieces around them, and even different helmets apparently. So this is really nice. I hope they keep doing this. Just keep releasing Marines with subtle differences, maybe one with face, maybe a female one, add different skin tones, you know, make it so we can have this big diverse UNSC army. I'm definitely going to try and get as many of these Marines as possible, because I think this is my favorite since it comes with the battle rifle and is a little more decked out. This one's cool as like a sergeant or like a commando, hence the word commando rifle and the knife on it. But yeah, that's pretty much all the differences between them. The last thing we really have to get onto, I guess, is scaling. How do these figures scale in with other 1/19 scale figures? Now, for the Marines and the Spartan, we pretty much know, but let's take a look anyway. Alright, so here is how all the figures generally fit in the scale. The Jackal is a little taller than I expected. Here we have a Joy Toy figure, then the Marine. So you know that the Joy Toys are taller than these figures. They're not really in scale. Marauders are more or less around the similar size. I guess the Marauders could be counted as a tall dude. So they are more or less in scale. Do keep in mind that this Joy Toy figure is just a little bit taller than normal. So I guess Joy Toy in general is a little big, but if you really use your imagination, they could fit in scale. This Brute, pretty nicely in scale with them. Down here is the Mattel. They are a little small, but they do fit into scale. Here's the Brohammer and the Spartan. So they all fit into relatively the same scale. They are supposed to be the same size, but the Marauders and the Joy Toy are just a little bit big for what they are. Anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap it up now because I know this review has been plenty long and I need to end it. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. Tomorrow's review is going to be the Spartan Mark 6 and the Silent Shadow Elite 2-pack. Finally, I'm getting to that one. So if you guys like this one, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow when we continue the Halo-thon. I believe it might be the last day of Halo-thon, maybe not. I'm getting around to the end of this line, and I don't know if I'm going to do the other 6-inch figures just because 6-inch really isn't my forte. I did the first one because it was cheap, but I don't know if I'm gonna do Cat and the other Mark 6. If you guys really want them, let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna skip them. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is the Toy Adventures, signing out. Peace!